The 98th Annual Academy Awards were handed out on Sunday night, the 15th of March, at the Dolby Theatre in Hollywood. Warner Brothers action comedy One Battle After Another was named Best Picture. One Battle After Another scored a leading 6 wins. Paul Thomas Anderson won for 3 things: writing the Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Picture, and Best Director. Then there were Best Casting, Cassandra Kunukundis, Best Supporting Actor Sean Penn, and Best Film Editing Andy Jurgensen. Warner Brothers Depression-era genre smash Sinners was next with 4. Best Original Screenplay by Ryan Coogler, as had been expected. Autumn Okafor became the first woman in history to win the Best Cinematography Oscar. Coogler's longtime collaborator star, Michael B. Jordan, went all the way, winning Best Actor award. Finally, Ludwig Göransson won Best Original Score for his music soundtrack, his third Oscar for composing and second for a Coogler film following Black Panther. Conan O'Brien just can't help himself. The man Stephen Colbert calls the patron saint of ex-talk show hosts has a few things to say about the late-night crisis, still sweating every joke and dancing with disaster by hosting the Oscars again. Is this the greatest Oscars ever, says John Mulaney. Conan is a true artist and an incredible broadcaster. He's also got one thing that you cannot fake and can only earn, which is stature. Conan sported makeup and a wig to masquerade as Aunt Gladys from Weapons because the first award of the evening was presented to Amy Madigan for Best Supporting Actress in that creepy role. He goes running around being chased by a large flock of kids through a house, breaking glass, knocking over chairs and climbing over tables. The kids chase him at a Formula One motor car racing event, so he's darting across the racetrack. Then he plays a ping-pong rally against Timothy Chalamet in his character as Marty Supreme. The horde of kids catch up and chase him on again. He barges across the stage during the Hamnet poignant climax followed by the juvenile throng. He rides shotgun with Benicio del Toro, echoing humor from one battle after another. There's an animated version of him resonating visually with the K-pop animation style since the Netflix Demon Hunters won Best Music Original Song. He learned some Norwegian so he could be dressed down by Stellan Skarsgård from Best International Feature Film Sentimental Value. The kids chase him all the way to the Dolby Theatre and up the red carpet. There's a packed audience, all witnessing his flight as he desperately flees to get away from this wild bunch. The Amy Madigan portrayal is definitely more sinister, but the Ronald McDonald-like clown features are pronounced. Contrast the nighttime shooting for Weapons with a lovely idyllic daytime depiction of a fine Tudor-influenced two-garage residence. Young children running wild on the street at night is more serious in tone, and there's weird terror in this tale. Amy has played opposite Ed Harris in many films, and they are longtime partners. Unfortunately, we do not stay young looking forever, but pleasant memories have been preserved. Relatively few individuals can experience the thrill of winning an Oscar, so I think it can alienate a lot of viewers. Netflix's Frankenstein took 3 wins for Craft Awards, including 2 back-to-back for Best Makeup and Hairstyling and Best Costume Design. Guillermo del Toro's pick later won the statuette for Production Design. It also was a winner at the Makeup Artists and Hairstylist Guild Awards last month, taking that prize for Best Special Makeup Prosthetics and Makeup Hairstyling. It also won for excellence in period film at the CDGA and for period feature film at the Art Directors Guild Awards. K-pop Demon Hunters, Netflix's most popular film ever, won the Golden Statuette for Best Animated Feature. The film, produced by Sony Pictures Animation, swept the Annie Awards last month, going 10 for 10 in its nominated categories. It has been streamed more than 500 million times, and its soundtrack has been streamed more than 11 billion times. See a gallery of the 25 highest grossing animated movies of all time. The pick later surprised no one by winning Best Song for the Grammy-winning international pop smash Golden. It's the first tune from the K-pop genre to pick up an Oscar. That left Diane Warren with 17 career Oscar nominations with no wins. Jessie Buckley surprised no one with her Best Actress win for Focus Features Hamnet. She picked up her first career Oscar on her first nom and became the first Irish woman to win the prize after steamrolling through awards season for her aching portrayal of William Shakespeare's partner Agnes. 20th Century Studios' billion-dollar threequel Avatar Fire and Ash won Best Visual Effects. It's a sucker bet to pick against a pick in James Cameron's historic franchise, which has taken FX Oscars for the original in 2010 and Avatar The Way of Water in 2023. Fire and Ash dominated the Visual Effects Society Awards with 7 wins last month. Also on the crafts front, Apple Original Films Racing pick F1 took the Best Sound Prize, Best Editing went to One Battle After Another, and Sinners won Best Cinematography. One Battle also was a winner at this year's ACE Eddie Awards and ASC Awards. F1 took the checkered flag twice at Cinema Audio Society's CAS Awards. In a major shocker, the documentary feature Oscar went to Mr. Nobody Against Putin, the Kino Lorber distributed film that was Denmark's entry for Best International Feature Film. The movie scooped the World Cinema Documentary Special Jury Award at Sundance last year, but the category was expected to be a race between favorites The Perfect Neighbor and Come See Me in the Good Light. The Girl Who Cried Pearls, made by Chris Lavis and Maciek Szyrbowski, won Best Animated Short. Colm Fiore narrates English language version of the pick that debuted at last year's Annecy International Film Festival. All the Empty Rooms, made by Joshua Seftel and Connell Jones, won the documentary short prize for this story about the fallout of school shootings, ending a marathon awards season in which the studio mates battled each other for months. Amid the studio's $110 billion acquisition by Paramount Skydance, Warner Brothers led distributors with 11 statuettes. Netflix was next with 7, including 3 for Frankenstein. The streamer's K-pop Demon Hunters was the only other film to score multiple trophies Sunday, and no other studio got more than 1. NATO's defense debate still revolves around spending. The deeper constraint is production. At the 2025 Hague Summit, allies pledged to move toward 5% of GDP in defense spending. 23 NATO members already meet the 2% benchmark, up from 6 a decade ago. The numbers look reassuring, but budgets alone cannot manufacture deterrence. Europe still depends on a single major TNT producer in Poland. Delivery timelines for systems like Patriot can approach a decade. Lead times for key munitions exceed 5 years. This reveals the paradox rarely stated openly. NATO is not facing a funding crisis, it's facing a production architecture crisis, because deterrence is not measured in budgets. It is measured in how fast a system can produce what war actually consumes. Parametric architecture, 617,058 followers. The Northern Apartments, designed by Studio Precht and W10 architects at the northern tip of Schengen, Albania. Characterized by terraced brick forms, earthy tones, and curved edges, the design gives the impression of a structure carved directly from the mountain. The building's rounded contours and layered outdoor spaces evoke the feeling of a ship anchored into the landscape, offering panoramic ocean views from each level. A winding mountain road leads to the site, where clean lines and textured surfaces establish a strong connection between architecture and the surrounding terrain. Currently in the final design stages, the Northern reflects a collaboration between Studio Precht's organic, nature-inspired architecture and W10 Architects' Industrial Minimalism. Renderings by Myrno and conceptual visuals by StudioPrect illustrate a design where green living, facades, and timber elements interact with bold industrial forms. The project aims to create a sustainable and timeless environment that is deeply rooted in the dramatic coastal landscape of Albania. The Shanghai Grand Opera House, designed by Skroheta in collaboration with the East China Architectural Design and Research Institute, is a major new cultural landmark rising along the banks of the Huangpu River in Shanghai. Inspired by the movement of dance and the form of a traditional Chinese fan, the building features a striking helical roof that spirals upward, creating a public promenade and viewing platform open year-round. Designed as both a world-class performance venue and a civic gathering space, the Opera House will include 3 theaters for classical opera, concerts, and experimental performances, with its sculptural architecture, light-filled interiors, and public rooftop stage. The project aims to become a vibrant cultural hub and a new symbol of Shanghai's growing cultural global presence when it opens in late 2026. A helical roof of this scale is a massive structural feat, balancing the dynamic load of thousands of pedestrians on the roof while isolating the vibration from the performance halls is a complex engineering puzzle. It proves that the future of monuments isn't just about the view from the street, but the experience of the surface itself. The Shanghai Grand Opera House is stunning, a perfect blend of sculptural form, cultural inspiration, and public engagement that will become a true landmark. How media houses turn AI strategy into measurable workflow improvements. Woodwing, New York University, 979,683 followers. We were busy covering real science. Using an acoustic device, NYU physics researchers have created levitating time crystals that defy Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. That sounds like sci-fi, but time crystals, a collection of particles that tick or move back and forth in repeating cycles, were first theorized and then discovered about a decade ago. The NYU team has now observed a new type of them. By using sound waves to suspend styrofoam beads in midair, time crystals were initially theorized in the context of quantum physics, which focuses on teeny tiny particles. So being able to see all of this with the naked eye is a big deal. When the levitated beads interact with each other, they do so by exchanging scattered sound waves in unbalanced pairs. Sorry, Newton. The findings expand the possibilities for uses for time crystals in technology and industry, and could also shed light on how biological clocks or our circadian rhythms work. Lisa Sharapata, AI and GTM strategist leading the shift from B2B to H2H, advisor and speaker, future of marketing. We know the feeling of achieving success, and the bar just gets raised higher after we do. As leaders, we are constantly asking our teams to do more, to reach higher, and to push past what they thought was possible. Like hitting your number one quarter only to have it increased 50% the next, and to do it with less resources and new technology. We wouldn't want someone to lower the bar and tell us they don't think we can hit the number because striving for excellence is ingrained in us. But there is a profound difference between just raising the bar and actually helping people clear it. When we look back at the moments that truly defined our lives, it wasn't just about hitting a target. It was about the people who held the bar up for us and gave us the support we needed to achieve it. There's a rare kind of leader who can demand excellence while simultaneously being our loudest cheerleader. They recognize that a rising bar creates its own kind of anxiety, and they provide a sense of security to help us reach that next level. In a high pressure environment, The goal isn't to wait for the bar to lower, it's to realize that the pressure is actually a sign of trust. If we want to lead effectively and lift our teams, we have to do two things at once: quantify the fear, help our teams understand that a new challenge just uncomfortable because of the uncertainty. Two, define the internal goal, celebrate the effort and the milestones, even if the world is already looking for the next win. The bar is always going to get higher. That's the nature of our growth. And in GTM, where the pressure is relentless and the targets never shrink, the teams that win aren't always the ones with the best strategy. They are the ones with a leader who made them capable of executing it. Apparently, according to this BBC World Service documentary, the darkest web inside the internet's most hidden corners to save kids. The dark web was created by the US Department of Defense in the 1990s so their spies could communicate in complete secrecy. However, in 2004, the dark web was made public, allowing criminals to conceal their identities from law enforcement. By 2012, pedophiles were gathering on the dark web, building hidden sites devoted to child exploitation. Of course, this shows a depressing example of something initiated with seemingly honorable intentions for the purpose of protecting the nation, but for some strange, obscure reason, hard to discover, they let this capacity open to people who seem incapable of comprehending moral philosophies and adhering to standards of respectable decency. Of course, we should all be able to easily understand why there needs to be law enforcement actions arresting sick, depraved abusers who don't even care about the right ways to raise children and educate them. However, the way this society has been working, it can be hard to know if anything can be trusted. Lately, the rude, aggressive ICE actions that have been criticized so strongly are a different side to the Homeland Security. I feel sure that one needs to be clear what living records people are running with. It's all a need to know only basis. Chuck Norris died Thursday morning at age 86 in Hawaii, his family announced Friday. Many high tributes flow. Instagram posts came from Expendables co-stars Sylvester Stallone, Dolph Lundgren, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Trump and Netanyahu acknowledged his legend. Hawaii had to urge residents to leave now amid worst flooding in over 20 years. Governor Josh Green said the cost of the storm could top $1 billion, including damage to airports, schools, roads, homes, and the Maui hospital in Kula. Vile Trump condemned for gloating over Robert Mueller death. Outrage mounts after President posted on Truth Social he was glad former FBI director and special counsel had died. Donald Trump has been condemned as a vile, disgusting man and a sick human being after gloating over the death of Robert Mueller, a former director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Mueller, a decorated Vietnam War veteran who led a politically explosive investigation into Trump, died on Friday, aged 81, triggering a callous reaction from the U.S. president. Robert Mueller just died. Trump responded quickly on his Truth Social platform. Good, I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. Even by the president's own norm-shredding standards, the comment was unusually harsh. There was a chorus of opprobrium from the Never Trump movement in his own Republican Party. Michael Steele, a former chairman of the Republican National Committee, wrote on X, "At real Donald Trump, you are a vile, disgusting man, petty and pathetic. You are a hypocrite who reeks of weakness and insecurities with no moral core. Regardless of the politics, the American people should be embarrassed and ashamed for ever having entrusted you with leadership." Rick Wilson, a political strategist and co-founder of the Lincoln Project, described Mueller as a hero and warned Trump, "When you die, Americans and people around the world will dance in the streets for weeks because you are a low, degenerate, criminal fraud who left a full stain on the presidency." Heath Mayo, founder of Principles First, added, "What a sick human being, a permanent disfiguring scar on the dignity of our nation." Democrats also weighed in to denounce Trump for spitting on Mueller's grave. Dan Goldman, a congressman from New York, posted that the President of the United States disgustingly celebrates Mueller's death simply because he exposed Trump's efforts to steal the 2016 election. Mueller and Trump represent polar opposites of what a public servant should be. For how can you compete being honor-bred with one who, were it proved he lies, were neither shamed in his own nor in his neighbor's eyes? Adam Schiff, a senator for California, observed, every day this president shows his basic indecency and unfitness for office. Andy Kim, a senator for New Jersey, wrote, what a small and spiteful man. And David Axelrod, who was a senior advisor to President Barack Obama, added, this post from @POTUS is thoroughly despicable, totally predictable, and utterly authentic. Alex Vindman, a Democrat running for Senate and a military veteran, posted on social media, Draft Dodger, saying this about a Vietnam combat vet and career public servant, despicable and disqualifying in any other decade. Some critics accused Trump and his supporters of hypocrisy, drawing a contrast with last year's death of the right-wing youth activist Charlie Kirk, when anyone perceived to be celebrating was targeted online and in at least 30 reported cases lost their jobs. Harry Sisson, a young political commentator, posted, I expect every Republican who was outraged at people for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death to immediately condemn Trump for saying, I'm glad he's dead about Robert Mueller. This is disgusting. Jon Favreau, a podcaster and former speechwriter for Obama, predicted one day Donald Trump will die and his supporters will try to punish the people who say things like this. There were also reflections on the contrast between Trump, who received 5 deferments from the Vietnam draft, 4 for university and 1 for heel spurs, and Mueller, who served in the Marines and was wounded and decorated for heroism in Vietnam. Sochil Hinojosa, a former head of public affairs at the Justice Department, posted Robert Mueller was a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart recipient. This is not how we treat a distinguished veteran, prosecutor, and former FBI director. This tweet is disgusting and grossly inappropriate. The irony is that, while Mueller's report had some shocking evidence, it did not recommend prosecuting Trump.